Welcome to another episode. A long time coming. I think it's been, I just looked like almost 2 years since my last episode on this channel. I am so sorry. A lot of it has come down to just me wanting to, well, I'm honestly, a lot of it being busy. I got a job, I got a day job, was working on that, was doing this, that, and the other. Um, Going out there and trying to participate in all these things and building my own communities and stuff like that, being part of community building, things like that. And it was great. Taught me a lot, right? But it also showed me that that's not my place, right? There's plenty of people out there doing amazing work, doing amazing stuff. I commend the folks that are out in the encampments and everything like that are protesting, that are doing what they can to make the world a better place. That's not my place, right? That's not where my skills lie, right? That's not where I feel like I am best used, right? And over the past couple of years, if you've been following my audio journal, my podcast, or whatever you want to call it, I have been learning a lot about myself in the world and in terms of like what I can offer the world, right? Like, and areas where I feel like the world or the movements that we want to build is missing. Especially in the last week or so. I just dropped the episode today on my audio journal. Go check it out. Thoughts of a Techno Wizard, a really techno shaman. I'm probably going to change the name. But anyways, I've been mentioning how I feel like there's a lot missing in the process for how to change the world, for how to make the world a better place, right? So I want to do more in that regard. And I have so many ideas of how we can make the world a better place. And yet I've been neglectful, right? Because I wanted to, I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? I've been trying to plot like the best way to roll this stuff out. I wanted to visualize all these ideas. I wanted to learn 3D modeling and start like putting out like how our cities can look like and redesigning things and inventions and everything like that. And yes, I still want to do that, probably still am, but we need to start where we are, right? And unfortunately, I just do not have the time and the skills and the resources to do that right now, right? But I can't just keep waiting for the perfect time. I can't just keep waiting until I'm ready, right? I just have to go. I have to work with what I have and build on that. And reflecting on on like all the stuff I've written over the years, the stuff I've talked about, the stuff I've done, that's always been how I work best, unedited usually, or just like unrefined in a way, but also still real, right? My best work happens when I just go, when I become action biased, when I don't worry about trying to be perfect. I don't worry about like all the things I can't do yet, where I still move with the ambition in mind, but I just go, right? And so this is what I'm doing. I'm coming back and making more YouTube videos. I'm gonna just go and we'll see where it goes, right? I want to be more consistent with it. I'm not gonna promise it, but I'm gonna do my best to be more consistent with it because I think it's important to share the things that I have to share, right? So with that, all that preamble aside, this is what I wanted to share today. So many things. And I'm not sure if it's all going to make sense, but I'm going with what I'm feeling and we'll see. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I feel like we need to define the process of what makes the world a better place, right? And I can share my screen right here, but it's probably going to be a little boring. I'll share my screen for the next part. But right now I'm just looking at something I've written in terms of defining the process of how to build a better future, right? And I've talked about this in my audio journal. So if you've seen that, then don't worry about this part, or just say in the comments what you've been learning from my episodes there. Those 5 people that listen to my my audio journal, let me know what you got from that. And this may be a kind of growing that out, right? Anyways, so there is no real process right now for making the world a better place, right? Um, there. Oh my gosh! Of course, somebody's calling me. Can I pause this? Might just have to end the recording. All right, always something, but anyway, so yeah, um, I feel like there's no current process for how to change the world, right? And this came up from a conversation I was having in one of these Discord groups that I'm in. One in Andrew Wisdom's channel, actually, really great channel, a lot of great stuff there. But I was just expressing my kind of discontent for like how we can make the world a better place. Like I felt like there's a lot of things that people are doing, but it doesn't feel like it's all coming together, right? Um, it doesn't feel like we're making meaningful progress in different ways, in a way that's more material, right? There's a lot of people, again, there's a lot of people doing awesome stuff, but how do we make it more material, right? How do we make it feel more real and more impactful? And what I mean by that is, like I said, I pointed out here my thing here. I said, why is there no real way to connect to the people and things that you need, right? Like many of us have these times where we need some help for something, whether it be bills, whether it be housing, whether it be finding friends and things like that. But it's really difficult to find the resources that you need. Yes, there's stuff out there, but it's just hard to find it. Like if you don't know that it is out there, what it is, you don't know what to look for, right? You don't know how to get that stuff. And there's some places you go, you try to go into, you know, these channels, like for instance, in this Discord channel has this, in this Discord group has this channel for basically asking for help, right? For mutual aid and stuff like that. Um, but if you're not in one of those channels, you know, what do you do? And even in those channels, like you may not get the help that you need because people may not be available, or people may not have the resources that they need to help and stuff like that, right? It's so hard to connect with people online, even though we live in this world of social media where you can connect with anybody around the world, and yet it's so hard to connect human to human, right? It's so hard to feel truly connected. It just feels so surface level, if that, even worse in some ways. It feels like performative in many ways. Another thing I say here is, why is it so hard to survive, to thrive, especially? Why is it so hard to make a living and enjoy being alive? Right? Many of us struggle with our jobs, with trying to make a living, with trying to not only find a job, but find a job that's meaningful to us, right? That we feel like is actually doing something positive in the world and that we're passionate about. Why is it so hard to do that? Why is it so hard to help other people, to find ways that where we can make a living that is meaningful and helpful and non-exploitative, right? It took me so long to find a job that I feel like is actually helping people. Why did it take 10 years for me to find a job like that? Right? And there's so much more I want to be able to do, but extremely difficult to do that. There's many people that start businesses with the intention of wanting to help people, and yet it becomes more and more about the business. It becomes more and more about just how can we make more money? How can we, and again, the money is supposed to be a way to help people, but that becomes it gets further and further away from that as the company grows. Oftentimes, if you look at the biggest companies today, they're a net negative on the world in terms of the problems that they put out in the world, right? Facebook connects more people than ever, and yet more people than ever feel alone, feel polarized, have all this false information and everything. Like, I'm not even going to get into all that, but you know exactly what I mean with that. Why are there so many people doing good work and yet feel isolated and alone and even aimless in that good work? Right? I was just a part of a group that was doing good work here in Atlanta, but it kind of fell apart because of drama, because of this, that, and the other. And even when it wasn't, like even before that point, it was just really difficult to really, impact the community, right? Trying to fight Cop City going on over here. Oh my gosh, always something happening. Yeah, there's always something, man. Freaking my tire. My mom was using my car. And my tires going flat. Don't know why, but like it's not even anything I can do about it right now. Like, try to call somebody to help, but like, you know, this is what I mean. Why is it so hard to fix these things? Like, I wish you could just, oh yeah, go down the street and or somebody right there can knows how to help or something like that. Um, but it's hard to do this sort of thing, right? Like, we have somebody we might be able to call, and hopefully they'll be able to go. Um, but like, it should be easier to help with these sorts of things, man. I'm be on speed dial, hoping we can find somebody. But as of now, like, there's not anything I can do about it. And this is exactly what I mean. Like this world is too isolated right now. It's too difficult to live in many cases. Many of us struggle with far too many things. And so what I want to do is build a world that is easier to live, right? It's easier to get help, it's easier to help other people. So some examples I used is looking at nature, right? One of the best inspirations. If you look at trees, what do trees do when they need resources, right? I don't know if people realize, but almost all trees are connected through a fungal network. And in that fungal network, they can exchange resources, right? Where one tree can basically ask for help for any water or nutrients that it needs, and other trees can send those nutrients to the tree through the fungal network. Like, this is amazing stuff. Look it up. The mycorrhizal network. Um, Once again, they're calling. Goodness. It's gonna be a horrible video, but I'm putting it out there anyways, because this is exactly what I mean, man. Like, we need a better system, right? So, anyways, trees are connected in this network, and not only can any tree kind of ask for help to get nutrients that it needs, but any other tree can actually proactively see if trees need help, right? What many trees do is when a new tree, a sapling, connects to the network, right? They see what they need, and excuse me, they send that help, that nutrients for the sapling, right? Before the sapling even knows how to ask for the help, right? So I think that should show us that it's possible to build a system, to have a system in which not only can you get the resources that you need just like that, but you're automatically provided those resources just by being in the system. Why is it that we humans who are so intelligent and have created so many things still cannot do that? How is it that we've created an internet where we can connect with other people around the world, almost like a fungal network, and yet we cannot easily pass resources back and forth, right? We have Amazon, we have these delivery services where you can order something online and get it to your door within, some places within the hour, oftentimes overnight or within a couple of days. So why can't we use a similar service, right, to see what needs, we have, to see, okay, my neighbor, they need this, that, and the other, right? I don't want to have to go on. Like, as an introverted person, I'm not gonna go and ask them this, that, and the other, right? It's I'm gonna be real with you, right? And we shouldn't have to do that, right? We should be able to see, okay, they need this, that, and the other. I have this, boom, send it over. No questions asked. I can just go ahead and do it, right? If they need help, they can see who can offer this help, right? Not only the neighbors, people, further down in another neighborhood or another. Oh, I got this freaking fruit fly going around. Goodness, this video is gonna be crazy. But I got people in a different city or in a different states or whatever, maybe even around the world, right? We should be able to have an internet where we can visualize, we can see the needs, the different needs that people have, and help them with that. Just like that. Why can't we do that yet? Right? It's possible. We see it's biologically possible with trees who many of us consider is not even like sentient. They might be, though, the fact that they can communicate with each other. But many of us, don't consider them as sentient, and yet they can do something that we can't even, most of us don't even dream of. What kind of sense does that make? Another example. Look at rivers, right? Rivers are like the central keystone of many environments, right? They're able to distribute resources from one place to another extremely efficiently, right? Not only water, right? From taking the ice cold glaciers up in the mountains and snow when it rains and snows and stuff like that. They can take that fresh water from the mountains and go all the way down to all the other, parts of the environment downstream. But they also give, again, natural nutrients right through the soil. They enrich the soil. Whenever things even poop in the river, that's why you shouldn't drink it. But it's also good for fertilizing the soil, right? That's why some of the most fertile soil is around rivers and things like that, estuaries. They create these underground aquifers, right, where you can get fresh water. Also, they go into these, ponds and lakes where you can also find fresh water, and a whole bunch of life lives in and around all these water features, right? So rivers shows us a method of a good inspiration, I should say, for urban planning, right? Because rivers shows us that you can have a built environment. Right? I'm going to say a built environment, but basically the equivalent of a built environment, right? Where anything knows where to get the resources it needs, right? Any animal that is thirsty, that needs to, needs to drink something, can listen to the sound of the river, can smell it in the air, can follow the grading of the land, right, to find a river to get something to drink. At that river, a whole bunch of other things are growing. They can get food there, right? They can communicate with other creatures and things like that, right? I do a lot of hiking, and it's always beautiful to see on the hike uh, this this like just life growing in and around these rivers, right? You can look at a river and see the things in the rocks, right? The little krill or whatever you call them, not krill, whatever, you know what I mean. But there's things like in the rocks. Like if you lift up a rock, you'll see like the little, I forgot, crawfish. There you go. You see like little crawfish, or you might see some tadpoles over here, stuff like that. You can see the birds coming down and stuff like that. If you're at like these bigger rivers during a certain time of year, you see a big old crane or a heron come in. It's just beautiful. It's amazing, right? And from that river, you see all the stuff growing around it. You see the trees, you see the shrubbery, you see the goodness, the moss and everything like that, right? Even spiders. You see them, laying up their webs all around to catch the flies as they're flying through this verdant area. It's beautiful, and it's amazing. Uh, Again, inspiration for how I think we can build our real built environments, right? Where instead of this being this chaotic, I'm gonna say chaos, because you can have a good, like, nature in a way is kind of like a good chaos, right? Where it's like there's a lot happening, but it has its own order, right? I don't even like to use that word because I feel like we've completely like destroyed the idea of order, thinking that order has to be this brutalist, all white, boxed up, glass, type of thing. Like, no, nature shows us what order can look like in terms of having a pattern, having a logic to how the system is laid out, right? And I think that shows us how we can build our cities to where it's easier, it's very easy, it's very super accessible to get to the resources that you need and to get out of there, right? If you need to, right? Where you have this verdant density, you have extremely dense, right, life around the rivers, but it's also not impenetrable, right? It's very easy for things to get in and out of there as well. The transportation, the transit, right? You can literally flow on the river to get up and down where you need to go. And then from the river, there's other creeks or coming to the river or from, right? There's creeks and streams and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, the grid format is very useful and it makes sense, but I think is also overplayed in many ways, right? It limits our thinking as to how we can lay out our cities. And I think by looking at rivers and the way they curve and everything like that, and distribute resources extremely efficiently, we should be thinking about how we can do that with our cities to make it easier to, again, access what we need. Another example, bugs, right? Bugs are these tiny, seemingly insignificant things where any individual bug is kind of like, like this fly going around is annoying, or like, you can even say meaningless in some ways. And yet bugs are completely, in what's the word I want to use here? Like, we need the bugs, right? Our entire system would not work without these bugs, right? Because everything depends on the bugs, right? And even below that, everything depends on the bacteria, right? These small, super small, insignificant things add up to be extremely important. Why? Because they are incredible aspects of the environment, right? They handle the decomposition of all the dead material, right? They're food sources for almost every other creature out there, right? They're what else I put on here? They're always there reliably, right? They're incredible facilitators of biodiversity, right? They allow us to see how small things can add up to really big things, to really big impact. So there's so many elements of what we can get as lessons from bugs and things like that. So why can't we be the same? Right? Why can't we look at this and formulate our environment as an example of these things? And so I'm going to, because unfortunately I have to cut this short. Looks like I might have to figure out a way to fix my own problems, but the car and stuff like that. But I did want to share this, and we'll end it there. Where is the There we go. Share screen. All right. So here's here's what I wanted to share here, right? I feel like we need to create a co-op for living the future, right? A cooperative that is an organization or several organizations, a federation or whatever, where we have people that come together to create a better world, right? In a cohesive, holistic way. And in that way, we can have, a number of these different things here where people are coming together and they're helping people with essentially create a dual power system, right? Where if people need a house, somewhere to live, the co-op can provide that free of charge, right? It's not about the money. It's about being able to help other people. And they can do this because the people who are building the houses are also part of the co-op, right? Because if they need food, the co-op provides that food. It's all free, right? It's just a part of being with the co-op, being with the community, being with the organization, being as a part, being close to each other, right? Being connected to each other by saying, this is the type of society we want to live in, where people do not have to worry about these things. And so we're going to just provide that for people, right? Humanity has done this for hundreds of thousands of years prior to, the building of empires. And so I think we can bring that back. So here's a number of projects that I want to work on that I think will help build this sort of thing, right? Make this bigger a little bit. So this is just a quick outline, and when I come back and do another episode, I'll give a lot more details. But Number one is a Solarpunk, maybe not number one, but one of the big things here is a Solarpunk software, meaning a software that we can use to visualize what this community can look like, and then that can help gather the data on how to build that out, right? To show you what kind of resources that you'll need. Say, okay, we want to build a neighborhood that feels cohesive, that feels inclusive, and things like that, that is walkable, that is sustainable. And so this is the elements of what that neighborhood can look like. You can start from scratch, or you can build on a existing neighborhood. Like I can look at the Google Maps view of my current neighborhood, put it in the software, and then get ideas, have people come together, or just get inspiration from people who have done this in other places on how to make this more walkable, how to make this more sustainable, how to make this feel like a livable community, right? Where our food resources are met, our socialization resources or our socialization needs, our environmental impact and stuff like that, right? You can visualize all of this in one software, and people can work on this together. Another thing, I got this from Seriously Wrong, right? They talk about library socialism a lot, right? So, what if we build an app that makes it possible and easy to share things and resources and knowledge in a library type of format, right? Where you have all these resources in the library, you can check it out at any point in time, and then you can check it back in when somebody else wants it, or you can make copies and um, share that out and stuff like that. But the point is that nobody owns any of these different things. It's for the common, right? It's a actual commons thing where anybody can get access to it, and it's kept up because people care about the actual community. That whole tragedy of the commons things is a tragedy not because of the commons, but because of the freaking capitalists who destroyed the commons. Look it up. So and talked about that before in many other places. But anyways, let's keep it moving. So internet in a box and digital homes. This really was a initial idea before the solarpunk thing, but I think it would be really cool and interesting to build out a virtual home, like kind of like Ready Player One with the Gunter's basement, where it's like this place where you can hang out, but a place for anybody to build like their own initial interface of the internet, right? Where instead of you having to go to this platform, that platform, that platform, and all this to find the stuff that you want to look at, it all comes to you, right? Like taking the idea of RSS feeds and bringing it to you, right? For anything. So if you're subscribed to somebody on all these different on people on different channels, you're following them, they're there. It can that information, that content can come to you, right? And you can customize it how you want. You can make it look like a virtual home, like a 3D home, and you can pull up your TV and then see the content there, or you have windows showing up with these different places and stuff like that. You can invite people over so they can watch the stuff with you, or they can build with you, right? This is the bigger idea. It's not just for content and having more content coming to you. It's really to build together, because I find it really something I've seen as I'm trying to build communities and things like that is it's extremely difficult to connect with people online in a digital format, because the 2D interface is inherently limiting, right? You're just communicating with people on via text. But what we see in VR, for instance, right, with these social VR platforms, is that it's way more impactful when you have that presence, right? When you feel like you can look at each other in the eye, right? Even if it's digital. If you ever been in VR chat or Rec Room, any of these places, right? You probably attest. You understand. It's way more impactful when you have that digital presence there, and I think we can build more of that out. More intentionally. Another thing is Flubby. I've talked about that before. I won't go to it right now, but Flubby, yes, let's do it. It should be easier to build things online, to design, ideas, right? You shouldn't have to learn some complicated platform like Blender. I know a lot of people love Blender, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, but it's still difficult to use. It should be easier. We should be able to mold things like Play-Doh. We should be able to click things together like Legos online in order to prototype or show our ideas off. Reality OS, this is like an operating system for your life, right? Where you can basically, oh no, this is this oh yeah. A lot of these things I wrote a long time ago, I haven't even looked at since. This one, yeah. So this one's like, um, I'm gonna say this one that what I was just saying first, and I come back to this. So I think it would be cool to have an interface for your life where you can like look out in the world and see, like, if you want to like optimize, not even just optimize, but if you just want to have like consistent habits, right? Instead of you having to, pull up Notion and do create this, all this other things, like what if you had a augmented reality interface or something like that, where it automatically said, oh, looks at, analyzes your life and looks at like, these are your habits, your good habits, your bad habits, and you can more easily see, okay, this is what I'm doing good, this is what I'm doing bad, right? When you eat something, you can say, okay, this is the diet that I'm having, this is how it's affecting my health. That's super ambitious, yes, but I think it's very interesting to think about. Another this so this what this is actually saying, though, reality OS is an operating system that is built on a completely different mentality than the current operating systems, that simulates real life physics. Maybe it's like a quantum computer type of thing where it's simulating real life physics so that we can create games that simulate the real life more effectively. Instead of you having to fake a lot of the physics, it's natural. It comes natural to the computer because the computer operates on a physics based, operating system. I'm not a super technical engineering type of person. So this is probably not even realistic, but I'm just throwing out ideas because I think we got to think more creatively. Organic AI, right? We should create AI instead of trying to have all this data coming in and scraping data and stealing information essentially, and then, treating AI as like a constant disposable thing that we're just iterating on and all this other stuff, and then molding it to try to meet our capitalist needs. Instead, if we really want to create a different sentient life form, right? People are saying, oh, what if AI becomes conscious? It will be terrible if AI becomes conscious with the current way that they're making AI, because the AI will be inherently psychopathic. Go look up, what I wrote about that in my newsletter. I had a whole thing about AI, but I think if we really want to create AI that's better, that is aligned with human needs and wants and desires and stuff like that, and not gonna kill us all, but even by accident or whatever, we need to have it be organic, right? It needs to be able to evolve in the same world that we evolved in, right? And to value the same things that we value, right? Cooperation, community, and things like that, adaptability, and it means to be able to understand empathy because it can feel pain, right? It doesn't look at it from this distance thing where it looks at it understands empathy like a psychopath understands empathy. It needs to understand it because it can feel empathy, right? And we can only do that if we grow it organically. um and that way it really is its own life form, and it's not, we wouldn't be able to, and we shouldn't be, going in his brain basically and dissecting this, that, and the other, like we're some psychopaths, like that's what a lot of these open AI folks and stuff like that are doing. We need to be able to create AI that is able to benefit from, yes, a lot of computational stuff, but it has an intrinsic understanding of us because it was raised in a similar world, right? Holocans. So this is an idea for holograms where you have this device that has like a film on top, and it's like this stuff. I'm not sure what kind of stuff, but it's the stuff in the bottom that it shoots out with air and is captured by the film, and that is supposed to create like a haptic hologram. That was one of my favorite ideas. I was always super. I didn't want to talk about this because people don't steal it and whatever, but I can't build it. So hopefully other people can build it. If you do, let me know. I have a whole bunch of ideas as to the use cases and different ways you can experiment with this. But I think this is a cool idea for holograms to make it actual, like physical and stuff like that. XR gloves, right? Where you have this like scrunchy ball type of thing, and you can squeeze it, and it like envelopes your hand and becomes a glove, and that inherently like feels um, more realistic and stuff like that. Um, I had this, oh yeah, transparent world, similar to what I was saying before with the augmented reality, where you can look out in the world and actually see where your money is going, right? What happens when you pay your taxes? nobody knows where that money really goes, right? We have to just trust that it's going in the right areas. And what we see often is that, especially in usually primarily black places, but pretty much any working class place, their money is not often being used in their communities, right? It's being sent out to this place and the other, and that makes it even harder for that community to offer the public services that that place needs. And that's why you have all these neighborhoods where it's basically like food deserts. It's in shambles, it's in shambles and everything like that. It's extremely hard upkeep. The schools, don't have the resources they need and stuff like that. Not only because there's just poor people living there who don't make a lot of money and who can't have a lot don't have a lot of like tax revenue to give to the community, but even when they do, it's not clear that their money is actually being used in the way that they want and need in that community. But what if we can actually hold people accountable, right? What if we can actually see where those tax dollars are going, and say, no, it should go here, it should go to this school, right? Help these people in my neighborhood. BCI, or brain computer interfaces. You know, enough said with that. Smart city things. We should make cities that smarter, stuff like that. I have a bunch of ideas for that. Pop-up houses. I think we should create this ability, technology that is able to literally create a house. People complain, say that, oh, we have a housing shortage. We don't actually. We have plenty of houses already built out, enough for many people, but many of them are privatized, right? Are owned by investment companies who are trying to make a buck on people. And we've seen there's plenty of evidence for that. But even so, I still think there's value in creating a technology that people can just pop up a house anywhere, right? And this is like squatter type of stuff, like squatter technology, right? Where you could pop up a house on some different land. And the purpose of this is for all those vast tracts of land that nobody is using and that's being destroyed anyways. And like, and in my city, I walk around all the time and I see all these empty plots of land. I'm not talking about like land with forest on it, which they often cut down, but I'm talking places where there used to be buildings or they've already cut down, but they're just leaving it there because, I don't know, like some investment company was doing something with it, I guess, but it's not clear what. So it's just literally sitting there, blighted, dilapidated. It becomes a dump, right? And so what if people who actually need a place to live, but they can't afford, an actual house because these investment companies doing some, landlords doing some fuck shit. Excuse my language here, but like for real. But what if people can instead have this technology where they pop up a house there, not just a tent, but like they have their water, their food, it's comfortable, internet, all that, right? And you can just set that up on any piece of land. I know some people not gonna like that, but I think that would be a game changer. Easy renovations, right? You should be able to renovate a house, right? You should be able to fix up your house. Like, it's so hard to fix a house. It's crazy. Like, a lot of places you have to figure out like what's wrong with the piping, the electricity, the sidings. There's mold in there. There's this, that, and the other. Like, we should be able to have some sort of technology where we can analyze and see, okay, look at the plumbing here, the electricity here, past this nanobots or some other type of, drones or whatever that can go in and fix the piping and all this other stuff, just like that, right? That can remove the mold. Let's do that, right? Again, I know a lot of this stuff is ambitious, it's maybe unrealistic or whatever, but we need to at least think about this stuff. We need to consider, like, is it really impossible, or are we just not thinking that it's possible, right? Are we just not even trying? Same thing for transit. We should be able to set up light rail or even maybe heavy rail very easily. I with MARTA, they have this part of the rail where you get to the airport and it just drops off, right? Like, they should have continued that rail going all the way down to Forest Park. I don't know where I used to live, and even down here where I live now in Henry, right? They should continue that down. They should have MARTA across most of Atlanta, but they don't, right? We should have the ability to make it easier to create these rail systems so that you can have more transit options more easily. Also building streetcars, right? Turning these streets, make it more walkable, so that you don't need to buy a car in order to get anywhere. You should be able to jump on a train, jump on a streetcar, jump on a bike or whatever to get to where you need to go. Ethical synthetic intimacy. So this I created this because people were talking about the AI girlfriends and everything like that, but a lot of it is terrible. So I'm like, what if you can create um, a AI bot or whatever that helps people be more intimate in a ethical way, and have a whole thing into this. We can get into this at another point. Sustainability. Oh, this also was for like porn, like making porn more ethical and stuff like that. Again, we can get into it at a later point. Sustainability blockchain, right? Like blockchain. What if you can have a blockchain that is meant to show how sustainable a place is? Like it has the reason why I say blockchain, because you can do this with any database, but the blockchain is supposed to be right. What do you call it? Like unchangeable, right? And so this way, it's like uncorruptible. It shows you that people have actually done steps to mitigate, their carbon footprint, and we have real evidence of that. And the evidence of that is in the blockchain, right? So you basically, the only way for you to mint a new block or whatever is by giving real evidence that you've done something for the environment. And so when people want to see that, they can look at the receipt, like the receipts in the chain. Um, Anyways, accessible space travel, right? I'm not one of those people that think we should figure out all the problems here before we go to space. I think space is going to offer us many solutions for how to build better here, right? And that starts with making it easier for regular people to go to space, right? And I know a lot of this is going to be dependent on creating things like a sustainable space elevator. I'm not even sure if it's possible, right, to create a space elevator that is sustainable. But if it is, we should look into it, right? Because then you can take an elevator to go to space, and people can instantly get that perspective about the world, that blue marble, perspective. And then at the same time, you can take in all those comments in the Oort cloud. It has all those resources, the water, the rare earth metals. Instead of us mining the metals on Earth and poisoning the Earth with all that, we can take the rare earth metals that are literally just in space. They're basically there almost for that purpose, I would say, right? And we can use that to build, the heavy industry, to build, all these core technologies that unfortunately have these terrible practices in getting those rare earth metals out of the earth. So if we can get that stuff from space, that can make a lot of the industry cleaner, right? And again, there's a lot of challenges with this stuff. There's a lot of difficulties, but I think it will be really important to try to think about. And finally, techno-animism, and techno-spiritualism, right? This idea of like, what if we can communicate with technology in a spiritual way? Or what if we can use technology to communicate with animism, with animals, with nature in a more intimate way, right? People have started to use AI to talk to whales, right? And I wrote this down years ago, bro. Like I been knew like this is a great use case of like, what if we can talk to the trees and see how they live in, right? See how they, what their perspective is on life, right? Um, Again, maybe it's far fetched, but I think just thinking about these things and putting these ideas out here is really important. So I'll end it there. And I want to say, if you have any ideas for how we can make the world a better place, put them in the comments. If you want to work with this stuff with me together, right? If you are a developer, engineer, artist, you're good at pitching, marketing, uh, anything, right? Let's work together. Let's try some stuff out, right? Let's come together and create a better future. I'm tired of just dreaming. I want to build, and so yeah, I'm gonna start trying to build this stuff out. Use my own design skills to create storyboards and visual examples of all this stuff. But I want to build. So if you want to build, let's build together, right? So with all that said, thanks for coming by. If you watched this far, again, put in the comments what your thoughts are on this stuff. And if you want to work together, let's work together. I'm ready. I am ready. Have a great day. See ya. Bye bye.